In 2003, Alexander and Fisher administered a study on men and women aged 18 to 25 on their sociosexual orientation. We replicated this research with adjustments to the multiple conditions to create more controlled variables. The biggest differences between the studies were the condition settings. In our research, there were controlled and observed groups to eliminate the issue of participants giving answers that were socially acceptable. In survey-type studies, it is very easy to get skewed results since people want to fit into what is expected. This research looks deeper into students' sociosexual orientation, which is the individual differences in the willingness to engage in sexual activities outside of a committed relationship, according to Wikipedia. This type of research requires extra precautions, since men tend to exaggerate their sexual relations and women tend to underestimate. Therefore, the research condition that involves the thought that the polygraph was detecting the lies was critical, because the participants were told that the administrator would be notified if they were answering untruthfully. It's hypothesized that in this condition, the participants would answer more truthfully no matter if the observer was male or female. This research was done by allowing students from a certain group of classes at Stockton to sign up to be a part of this research whenever they were available. Once they came to their appointment, they were greeted by 2 females or 1 male and 1 female administrator who randomly assigned them one of 3 conditions. They were then provided a chair with sensors to respond to movement and fidgeting and hooked up to fingertip monitors to measure pulse and galvanic skin response. Lastly, an arm cuff to measure heart rate. The administrators explained to the participant what the equipment was for, if the polygraph was going to determine lies or not, and if the camera would be on to allow the administrator to watch them or not. They were then left alone to take the survey, and when finished, the administrator took 2D, 4D, and waist-to-hip ratio measurements. Even though the polygraph was never actually on or relaying information to the administrator, the participants still thought their lies were being detected, which should make their answers more honest. The new research found that out of 66 men and women participants, there was no significant difference in how many sex partners they expected to have in their lifetime. There was, however, an interesting difference in how each sex rated their attractiveness for short-term mating. These differences make sense evolutionarily, because men are not as specific in who they pick for their short-term mating. Over time, this would make women think that they are more attractive as a short-term mate than a long-term, because men would have higher standards. I also think that these numbers may be more dramatic than they would be in a sample that consisted of people other than college students. Short-term mating in college is very common, so I hypothesize that female college students find themselves to be more attractive as a short-term mate because that is typically what most of the males on campus are looking for. Women know that being a short-term mate is desirable, so they consciously or subconsciously understand that they are more attractive in that way. These findings can help us better understand specifically college students and their self-awareness and self-confidence from their ratings. These statistics can be looked at to get an idea of the average students at Stockton for how they feel about themselves, self-confidence, and also to get an idea of the sexual activity of the students who are regularly on campus. I think the participant pool should be expanded to any student who wants to participate. That way there will be a more even distribution of students across class levels to get a more accurate idea of the average student across campus. Generally, this study we conducted is a good base to expand on and study more about the truth behind sex differences between men and women.